Welcome to this tutorial for the JavaScript SDK of Near Protocol. Before we dive in, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Noma, the DevRel lead for Near Protocol in the US. I'm also the hackathons lead at Near Hacks, which is a series of hackathons and hacker houses for Near builders in the US. I'm the founder of Colts Collective, a community for teaching Black and African people about Web3 and leveraging emerging technologies. I have over 5 years of experience in Web3 and crypto, super passionate about Web3 first principles, decentralization, ownership, censorship resistance. Here's my programming stack and some programming languages that I'm currently learning, as well as my hobbies, which are reading, writing, traveling, cooking, DJing. And finally, here is some contact information. You can find me on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. If you have an idea or you want to share some feedback, need some technical support or emotional support. And yeah, if you have anything cool to share, let's chat. So yeah, let's dive right in. This presentation is geared towards Web 2 beginner devs. Actually, we've termed Web 2.5, so Web 2 developers that are interested or curious about Web 3. If you know JavaScript with the Near JavaScript SDK, you can actually start building a Web 3 dApp today. So you spend less time learning new languages and more time building. Right here we have some numbers. So here's a number of Solidity and Rust devs, about 2 million, probably a little over now. And the number of JavaScript devs is a whopping 20 million plus. So as you can see, the number of JavaScript devs vastly outnumber the number of Solidity and Rust devs. So with this JavaScript SDK, we're really casting the net super wide to be able to reach Web 2 developers that are used to traditional development, and just sort of help them get acclimated to building in a blockchain environment very quickly and very easily. Now, Near is committed to simplicity and usability first, and this is reinforced by the release of this JavaScript SDK, which makes the learning curve for blockchain far less steep than it's ever been. So JavaScript developers can now set up their first decentralized application in the same amount of time it takes to spin up a React app, which is honestly crazy. The JS SDK release has everything that you will need to dive right into blockchain development, including the contract framework itself, which is sort of like a scaffolding for your project, JavaScript and TypeScript contract examples, and example tests within the stack that simulate user interactions. It is also implemented in TypeScript, which offers developers implicit, strict, and structural typing, along with annotations built into your favorite IDE. And this is really helpful for intuitive documentation. So a little bit more about Near. Near is a layer 1 blockchain. It's dynamically sharded proof of stake, which means that it combines proof of stake and sharding in a really cool little technology called Nightshade, which makes the Near blockchain theoretically infinitely scalable. Near has a 1.2 second block production time, so super fast transactions, focused on scalability and usability without compromising on decentralization or blockchain first principles. Near is also completely carbon neutral, which is really cool. And one of my favorite things about the blockchain, 30% of gas fees are paid out to smart contract developers, which is just a way to incentivize and reward the people that are building out the crucial infrastructure and tooling for the ecosystem. Near also has really low gas fees and is EVM compatible through Aurora. So if you have a EVM application that you've built in Solidity, you can easily port that over to Near with Aurora to take advantage of the low gas fees and all of the great things that the Near blockchain has to offer. Now, what is the JavaScript stack? The JavaScript stack on Near is a set of tools and libraries that help developers quickly and efficiently build on Near using JavaScript. So this tutorial will walk you through some of these resources that you can leverage to start building on Near using Create Near App and our JavaScript SDK, which is essentially a full-fledged toolkit to help you build your dApp really fast and really easily. So you simply install these packages via npm. They give you access to the tools that come with the JavaScript SDK, including Workspaces.js. So Workspaces.js right here. This is a tool for testing dApps locally on your computer before deploying. It allows the developer to simulate a node on their computer and modify the environment of that node. And this is really useful because it lets the user interact with their smart contract without actually deploying it to testnet. So you can have a really robust testing environment without deploying. Next, we have the Near CLI. Oops, sorry, skipped forward. Next, we have the Near CLI, which is a shell tool for building on Near. Now, this is a tool for interacting with the Near blockchain directly from your terminal. It's basically a wrapper around this really cool tool that we have here, Near API.js, which allows the users to interact with the Near blockchain from their front-end application, their back-end node script, as well as their terminal. And finally here we have the wallet selector. Now this allows users to sign in or sign out of an application on the Near blockchain, and it also showcases a variety of wallets that Near has, including its native one called My Near Wallet. So you can find that at mynearwallet.com. And of course there are others like Math Wallet, Here Wallet, Ledger Wallet, and a whole sort of variety of wallets that you can choose for your needs. Now let's move along. Now, what does this actually mean in practice? You can build, test, and deploy all in one stack, which is a JavaScript SDK stack. So you install this via npm, like we said earlier. You're able to build, deploy, and interact with the Near blockchain using that Near command line tool. And then you're also able to write your JavaScript and TypeScript smart contracts with the JavaScript SDK. And these are compiled down to WebAssembly code. And right within that stack, also, you can test your contract, test the backend, test the front end with Workspaces.js. Now here are just a few of the developer resources that you can find on Near. There is Near Docs, which is just a really robust docs site introducing the concepts like Near's account model, how it manages keys, a lot of quick start guides and code examples for developers, tutorials and tools. There are really cool examples. One of those that we'll be walking through on this presentation. There's also the Near Discord, where you will find the dev support channel as well as developer office hours. You can also find on the Near YouTube channel a bunch of workshops, talks, and resources if you would like to pick something of your choosing to dive into the Near ecosystem even further. And finally, we have this Near Certified Developer course, which is only 2 hours long and entirely free, and it allows you to earn a certificate of completion that represents your ability to design, develop, test, and deploy smart contracts to the Near platform. So if you'd like to prove your proficiency in some way, I definitely recommend taking the Near Certified Developer course. All right, now let's get into some code after that brief introduction. For this, you're going to need an IDE like VS Code or one that's in browser like Gitpod. I'm going to be working in VS Code, and you can also make sure that you have the latest version of Node.js installed. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I'm just going to CD to my desktop where I like to build my applications. And first, I'm going to walk you through the file structure of a Near app and what a basic smart contract on Near looks like. So Near has a really handy tool called Create Near App, sort of like how you have Create React App that installs all the dependencies in your directory of choice and creates the scaffolding basically for your project. Essentially, this is a template that you can build off of. So the command for that is npx create Near app at latest. And we're just going to run this. So this has a really cool sort of like prompting setup that you can use to configure your project. So I'm just going to select my smart contract language as TypeScript. Just going to make this a little bit bigger. Press enter, and a template for my front end, we're going to be using React.js, but you can also use vanilla JavaScript. I'm going to name my project. This will just create a directory with the name of my choice, and I'm going to call that example Near app. All right, and it's gonna ask me if I want to run npm install to install all those great dependencies that we will need. I'm just gonna hit the Y key on my keyboard, and now it's creating a new near dApp. Now I am currently filming this tutorial within the conference venue, so we all know how conference Wi-Fi goes, but I have sort of excuse myself to an area where I think this should be able to run a little bit faster and install all those dependencies for us to get started ASAP. And not going to edit this video too much because we would like for you to follow along with this tutorial sort of live, just so that you see everything that's happening on the terminal. All right, yay. That was pretty fast. Success. We have created the example near app with a smart contract in JavaScript and a front-end template in React.js. So I'm going to navigate to my project with cd example near app. And I'm actually going to open that folder that we have just created with a new terminal right here. All right, so right here you can actually just see the basic structure of a near app. I'm just going to close this. So we have the contract, we have the front end, we have integration tests. These are all pre-built in. And we have this really handy README file that I absolutely recommend that you read all the way through. Has a lot of really useful instructions that will help you test this example project and also build your own. Now I'm going to go through the smart contract really quick just to show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to go into contract, I'm going to go into the source file and contract.ts. Now right here we have a very basic hello smart contract for near. Essentially all it does is allow you to store information on the blockchain in the form of a string and then retrieve that information to be inserted into the application that comes with this template. So all we're doing here is basically modifying this preset hello, and we're going to be modifying that into different strings and retrieving that and then displaying it to our application. So a simple hello near app. To go over these really basic tools that we have up here, we have near bindgen. So this essentially acts as the glue around your smart contract to make it so that the near blockchain can actually interpret and read what you're writing. So you can use like the naming convention for this to remember that the bindgen acts as a glue around your smart contract to allow it be read by the near blockchain. So this comes with a really handy field right here called require init. And if you have, for example, like some metadata that you want the user to input before they actually are able to use the application, you could just set this to true. But for this, we won't be needing that. So I'm just going to clear this out and leave our stringified object blank. But yeah, just note that initialization functions are functions that only get called once. All right, next we have this import tool. I'm just going to command click into that. And this tool comes with a whole bunch of functions that will aid you as you create your project, write your smart contract. We have right here near log, which essentially allows you to return logs both to the console and to the blockchain. So let's say you're writing specific events. This is the tool that you will use just like if you're debugging for errors and you want to see the errors that your smart contract is turning and read those messages. You can use near log for that. All right, back to our contract. All right, right here we have call and view method. So a call method is essentially a way to change or add information to the blockchain. This will incur what is called a gas fee. so it costs money to do this. And gas on near is essentially the cost of computation that goes into resolving a transaction. This is typically less than a penny, and gas is paid in the native token of the near blockchain called near. You guessed it. All right, and next we have a view method. This is a really simple way to query information from the blockchain that incurs no gas fee, so you can call this view method basically as much as you want. You can see down here that we have a view method called getGreeting right here, and that just simply retrieves this string and prints it. Next we have this call method, or change method, same thing, which accepts a parameter column message right here, which is a type string that will essentially update or change the string so that it changes the information of the blockchain. You can see this class here, right up here, and this acts as the state for the blockchain. So this class is one field called greeting, which is a type string that is by default set to hello. And that's what we're going to be updating with this really simple smart contract. All right, I want to walk you through something really quickly as well, which is our package.json file. Now in package.json, we have this really handy scripts that will help you along the way as you're building your smart contracts. So you can just command click into any of those, run scripts to debug and so on. All right, so let's get into some code. So if I start running npm run deploy, you can see that it's building our smart contract, and that is what is called it's creating a build directory within our app, and it's deploying the contract. Great. Starting deployment. Here's our account ID. And great. Now what this means is that it's creating a dev account deploy. Now what is a dev account? This is simply an account that is meant to be used for your development environment. It is like a randomly generated account on the near testnet, meant to be something that you can like throw away, something that you can use to manipulate your contract. It is auto-funded with 200 test tokens, which are just like fake near tokens, so you don't have to risk using actual like real money. And you can make as many developer accounts as you want. These are just meant to be disposable essentially. So you can see it gives you a link right here to the Near Explorer, which you can click in to show you details about your transaction, whether it's been successful or it failed. It'll also show you information about the gas attached to a transaction, as well as the actual gas used on the transaction. And it's just a really handy tool that would be super helpful as you build, just to see the status of your transactions. Before we continue, I also just want to note that all accounts on Near are essentially created with empty smart contracts. So if you were to create an account right now on Near, you would create an account with an empty, like completely blank smart contract. Now, as smart contracts get compiled down to WASM files, these WASM files are deployed onto the account and populate said smart contract so that it's no longer empty. So now let us open a second terminal to modify our smart contract. Now, if you remember from earlier, one of our handy tools within the JavaScript software development kit is the Near CLI. So I can set the contract name as the contract ID with the developer account that was created for us. And using the Near CLI, I can actually retrieve that information from the blockchain and display it onto the account that was created for us. So we're just going to set the contract ID now as a dev account that was created for us with this command. All caps contract ID, and we're just going to say equal to. We're going to go back to our first shell, and this is the dev account that was created for us that I'm highlighting right here. I'm going to Command C that, take that over into our new terminal, and paste. And so what this does is connect our contract ID to the developer account that was created for us. And I'm just going to press enter. So that's been connected now. All right, now if I go back to our smart contract right here, you can see that the get greeting for the view method has no parameters in it. So we're not accepting any arguments here, whereas like set greeting here does. So I'm just going to put in an empty stringified object into my CLI just so that we can read that and view what we have on the account. So right here is the contract. We set that contract ID. So we're going to use near view. And this is another command line tool. There's a whole bunch of commands within the near CLI that you can look into and just learn and use for your needs. So we're just going to use near view, contract ID, get underscore greeting, and then I'm just going to put in that empty stringified object to view. So this will be called for free. All right, and it just called our account and displayed what we have there, which is simply hello. Great, now you know how to read a contract. Now let's say I want to update or change this info. We're going to be using the call method. Now this is a change of state, and this, like we said earlier, is going to cost some gas. So what we're going to use to update this info is the near call command. And so I'm going to say near call contract ID that we set earlier, and then we're going to go to set greeting right here. And you know, our account does have parameters, so we're going to be inserting those parameters right here. And let's just say our message is hello. Oops, almost messed that up. Hello Noma, which is my name. And just gonna close that out. And like I said, this will be incurring a gas fee, so I'm just gonna pay for that with my account that I already have loaded on my computer, which is kia.testnet. All right, so just reviewing, and we're gonna take this, and this is doing an account function call. All right, so it has been successful, and it has saved our greeting hello Noma. So to see whether that was actually changed the contract, we're going to go up twice to the command that we use to view and hit enter. And this says hello Noma. So congrats. We have changed our smart contract and updated it with some new information on the blockchain. All right, so now that we know how to read a smart contract and write to it, I'm just going to walk you through really quickly the front end of the application, and we're going to go to near wallet.js. And here is just like a really simple helper file that simplifies using the near wallet selector, which is one of the tools that we also mentioned that is within the JavaScript SDK. So this shows the functions to call for wallet sign in. So we can see right here that we have the import for Ledger wallet. We also have the import for the native near wallet called my near wallet. And right down here we have what you call, the function you call when the website loads to start up, the sign in and sign out methods, read only call to retrieve information from the network, a method that changes state, and then getting a transaction result from the network. So this is all like really, really great for creating like a sign in and sign out flow for your application. So yeah, here is what we are going to do now. I'm just going to be using npm start to display that front end. And the application is starting. All right, and here is what it looks like. It has given you this really simple UI and show that our contract says hello Noma. I'm already signed into my testnet account, but I could sign out and sign back in. So this is basically the button to sign in, and I can just say like my near wallet and click that in. So this is a really simple contract that shows how to read and write, shows you the file structure of a near decentralized application and just how to navigate that. Another really cool thing that I would like to mention before we head over to the next part of this presentation is about Near's account model design, which has a really unique feature of holding multiple public and private key pairs. These are called access keys, and each of these have their own set of unique permissions. So a full access key, Near has two types of access keys. So a full access key basically just sort of gives that free reign over your account. Has full control, similar to having like admin privileges on your operating system. And this allows you to write a smart contract, even create new keys that can be rotated. And next, alongside that, there are function call access keys. These are specifically created for users when they sign into an application. And this allows for restricted permissions and limited gas budgets. So really like a way to actually create a more secure and streamlined experience for your user, which is just really cool. I recommend going to docs.near.org and really reading through some of these concepts, trying to understand how they apply. So yeah, we have walked through the example Near app, the file structure, we've read and written to our smart contract, we've displayed the front end, and next we're going to be showing another really cool, robust example of using the JavaScript SDK with a simple coin flip game. See you on the next one.